Hey guys, this is Yoda. This video will be a VOD review of a plus 30 Everbloom key that I did with my group. Note that there is some cheese going on right now with priest mind control on the stingers. We didn't do that for this 30. I think you could probably do it for 31. We might try it later. But yeah, this will be just an all natural VOD. We start off with emceeing this naturalist. These two mobs aren't linked to the naturalist, so we can just... I'm pretty sure you can just tag these without imprison, but we just imprison anyway. So we tag those. This berserker, he misery, so it doesn't hit me. Not that big a deal, but yeah. We tag in a bunch of flowers and the A-bomb. And then the final, basically, pack we're pulling, I tag with Divine Toll, which is this naturalist. I try to keep naturalists down to a minimum in these early chaotic pulls because basically it lets me solo kick it, and not everyone is aware that these naturalists Dancing Thorns like do a gajillion damage to the tank. So I usually just pull one so I can solo kick it. If you're really confident in your group, you can pull two. I usually do that on Tyrannical. But on Fortified, I find it much easier to control if I pull one naturalist. For some reason, the shield I threw with Toll didn't bounce these dread petals, so we have a bit of an aggro issue here, but turns out it's fine. You'll notice I did also use my belt, by the way, on the gather. There's an engineering video I have if you want to find out how to get that. So the main danger in this pack is going to be, at least for me, it's all these dread petals applying this slow debuff to me, which increases my damage taken, compounded with Dancing Thorn, which could go off, but you know, I'm solo kicking this naturalist, so we'll never get any. The A-bomb has a tank buster, and all these berserkers melee kind of hard. So the way you counteract this debuff is with freedom. Obviously, I'm a paladin. If you're a VDH, you can use Vengeful Retreat. If you have like a ret in your group, they can freedom you. Monk, Tiger's Lust. But I start with freedom, and then after freedom, it's usually bubble. Almost died there, actually. So it's freedom into bubble into kite a bit, and you can see bubbles running out, freedom's almost back. Usually you want to like slow roll the bubble a little bit if possible, but this pack hits really hard, so bubble, and then we're just going to wait. Then when freedom's back, I'll probably freedom if the dread petals are still alive. Looks like they're dead, so I don't need to. But yeah, it's just freedom into bubble. A lot of the time, they'll still be alive. Our group just does a lot of damage, so it would be freedom, bubble, freedom, if you have to. All right, so we just wrap up the berserkers. Priest on there. These berserkers, if you have like this weak core that tracks their cooldowns, if you stun them and then this cooldown comes up, it'll like go back on cooldown. It won't like be queued, which is weird. Some of the mobs are like that. All right, so we finish off this pack. Then we do this next pull. It's these mobs, plus I have the DH pull a pack over here. And this Mender, the one in the house, is not linked to the double naturalist. Since I'm a paladin, like I said, I try to keep the naturalist down to a minimum. So he pulls that pack for me and this Mender. If you don't have like a ethical demon hunter with you, you can pull these. It's just, you know, going to be slower and harder for you. But yeah, so we pull them. Again, we have 10 dread petals plus 1 berserker. So this tank damage is not nearly as crazy in this pull. If I need to, I would go freedom and then spell ward and then freedom again. I think I might end up doing that here. If you spell ward, by the way, spell ward does not remove the stacks. You need to do it before the stacks are applied. So it'd be freedom. If I was spell warding, I would do it like right now. I think I decided against spell warding because this pack doesn't hit that hard. But I think I will regret it soon. So yeah. If I recall, I'm playing Consecrate slow, so I keep these away. I'm kiting them. Basically, the option here was spell ward or kite, I guess. So I chose kite. Freedom's back, so I could technically fight these, which I probably do. Yeah. So once freedom's back, I just plant Consecrate freedom, and then the dread petals should die before freedom runs out. Again, remember there's only one naturalist, so I'm solo kicking it. We'll be cutting these mobs a bit while freedom's down. Once they're dead or dying, we move on to the next pack. So again, I have this set up as 10 dread petals, 1 naturalist, and I meant to pull only 2 stingers, but we got a third, which means I will have to be dispelling in this pack. So again, we freedom when the stacks get high. This one hurts the tank kind of hard because these stingers kind of hurt. So I wouldn't be surprised if I bubble here. Also with 3 stingers, I do have to use my dispel. We're having the DPS focus down these stingers too. So that, like, while there's 3 stingers alive, we're kind of stressed because, like, people other than me could die to the stinger. So then the healer has to split his attention. Surprised I didn't bubble. Okay, yeah, so this is bubble. Freedom into bubble into freedom, basically, for this pack. That bubble was a bit late. It should have been earlier, I think. Right, once these stingers are dead, the pull is quite simple. Move on. Our route involves going into here. So this patrol is really annoying. If it's on the right side, then we pull this pack. If it's on the left side, we pull this pack. And the other pack is like with the next pull. That's basically how we do it. So we're tagging this. It's pretty much literally the same pull. It's just 1 naturalist, 10 flowers, and some number of stingers and menders. Basically exactly what I know I can handle, 10 dread petals, 1 naturalist. You can do 2 maybe with cooldowns, but like I said, it is risky. This pack is probably, I think, I'm surprised I didn't spell word there, because this pack does hurt a little bit because there's a stinger in it. Yeah, we have somewhat strong cooldowns here. We just go freedom into use cooldowns into freedom again. I think that's just enough. Yeah, I just cut it out and blow a bunch of cooldowns. I think I should have spell worded here instead of blowing like every cooldown plus pot, but whatever. Okay, so this pack wasn't in the previous pull, so it's in the next pull. This one requires a bit of extracting. It's like pull this and then early freedom there. I wasn't happy about that one. Then we're going to this pull. So this pull is mega danger. It's 10 dread petals plus, remember how I was trying to keep the naturalists down to minimum? This is 3 naturalists. So this pull is mega danger. Make sure you have cooldowns. Make sure your group has cooldowns. So the way I group this is I shield 1 naturalist and then toll targeting another naturalist and then kick the last one if my toll doesn't get lucky. It got lucky there, so I don't need to. So these are all grouped. The way I mitigate damage here is, first of all, we have the dread petal, so that's going to be freedom, bubble, freedom. Then for the naturalist, I'm targeting 1 for all my shields. DPS are like randomly kicking thorns on the other ones, and then we're AoE stopping the healing waters. And some of those AoE stops will catch dancing thorns, some won't. This is PI. He also PIs me because he knows this pull is really dangerous for me. It's 10, like I said, 10 dread petals plus 3 casters. So we go freedom. After freedom, sentinel's falling off. This should be bubble, pretty sure. Yeah, freedom, bubble, and then freedom again after bubble. Hopefully the naturalists are, the dread petals are dying like when bubble falls off, so pull is quickly becoming less dangerous. Basically, if you have bubble, all of these quote-unquote dangerous pulls can be made not dangerous by also having DPS cooldowns, because they like the dangerous mobs die before you run out of cooldowns. All right, so after that, it's 1 stinger plus this pull. We group this pull in much the same way. You'll see shield 1, kick 1, target, and toll. Then you can just walk onto the 4th one. Our DH also kicked, so that made it a lot easier too. This pull is kind of dangerous. It's 4 naturalists, which can be annoying, but you just use your toll. You just kick as many as you can and have a cooldown running, and you shouldn't get one shot by the thorns. And no one else is taking damage, so it's pretty easy for your healer to just only heal you. See, I have Sentinel running. I took 3 thorns there, and it didn't kill me. So that's basically how we run this. I'm gonna be kicking as many as I can with shield. AoE stops again for healing waters. We have enough AoE stops that we could AoE stop thorns. I think when I run out of cooldowns, I start calling for that. But yeah, this pull is somewhat dangerous, but as long as you're having a cooldown running the whole time and solo kicking at least one naturalist, it should be okay. I did almost die here, actually. Actually, I did die. I cheated. But you don't need cheat for... This is like... This one and the second boss are kind of the only boss you need cheat for anyway, so it's whatever. Alright, so then after that, we pull some flowers and a cultivator with witherbark. I'm purposely avoiding the naturalist here. You can just pull it around the cliff and it won't pull the naturalist. And someone else is pulling 10 flowers from the other side, so this is 15 flowers plus witherbark. This is kind of dangerous for the tank, but I am a paladin, so I'm like pretty effective against this. I can freedom the first one, so it's basically just melees plus parched grass. So I have freedom and Ferox Trinket and Sentinel. for this one, so it doesn't remove my health. Next one is very likely going to be bubble. So yeah, it's freedom into freedom plus rage heart into bubble into dread petals are dead. Plus I just drop consecrate ardent and kite a bit, I think. Yeah. All right, so this boss is pretty simple. He doesn't really do anything except the 2 tank busters every phase. You do need to pick up these unchecked growths or they'll like kill your team. Just make sure you're watching when they spawn. Throw over a judgment or a shield or a taunt or whatever. But make sure you're on top of this. These growths are going to spawn like wherever this little plant thing is. When a bubble runs into it, they spawn. So just make sure you're on top of taunting these or they'll kill your team. And then, you know, it's really tragic if someone dies on this boss because you have to use B-res and then you don't have B-res for later. So make sure you're on top of aggro here. They do hit the tank a little bit hard, but as long as you have like anything, you probably won't die. All right, so then we're in this phase. It's just 2 tank busters. Just use any cooldown and you should survive. We lost the burn, and this guy dies in 2 phases. All right. One particular thing about our route, by the way, you can see the MDTs open. We try to clear all the trash out between like this boss and this boss. That way we can lust P2 of this boss, and it's like on time. It's basically for lust timer, the reason we do that. Anyway, we just walk to the next... Oh, wait. I think someone ninja pulled. Let me go back. Man, we timed this key with someone ninja pulling. That's crazy. Okay, so we're going through. Someone ninja pulled this Mender, and then the Mender aggroed to me, so I had to die. Unlucky. He reses me on the other side, and we fight this boss. So this boss is kind of difficult. Paladin is pretty nice against this boss compared to some other tanks, but... yeah, so you're going to want to be getting as many interrupts on Telu as possible. The way we do that with Toll, so we're going to Toll, and then, so you see I have my resonance bar here. Playing this resonance bar is actually what makes this fight kind of difficult for Paladin, like technically. If you have numbing poison or tongues, this becomes way easier, but we don't have any of that in our group. So basically the way it works is you toll, and then when this resonance bar is halfway between these two, like basically 1.5 seconds, you throw one interrupt, like you're either a shield, your kick, or someone else's kick. Obviously your group is not staring at your resonance bar, so you kind of just tell them to kick, like you just call the timing for them to kick. But if you do that properly, then it works out kind of nice. So you get one resonance interrupt, then you interrupt, then the resonance interrupts, then you interrupt. So see, I'm going to kick, oops. We're going to kick about halfway through, and then the resonance catches the next one. All right, so that's how you play resonance. Other than that, you're kind of just spamming your shield. When you have no kick, call a kick. We also have the priest save his silence in case we have no kick. So we're using like my shield is first priority, then my rebuke, then everyone else's. You want to prioritize your own interrupts because of the punishment talent gives you a blessed hammer. That hammer has a chance to reset your shield, so that gives you more interrupts. On top of that, you also want to be prioritizing Blessed Hammer when your Avenger's Shield's on cooldown for a chance at Grand Crusader, which will potentially give you more interrupts. For this charge, you want to take a step out. Just make sure you have any cooldown running, and you shouldn't get one shot. Right now we have Sentinel. Boom. This fight is very, very difficult to play properly. I actually missed 2 interrupts there. But yeah, when played perfectly, it actually looks really, really nice. I do bring the boss over to this one for some interrupts. And then usually I just bring it back even if he's still casting. Like once my kick and the DH's kick are on cooldown, there's no reason to have this boss next to the other one. We do want to focus down Telu here. That's the first one. That's the first guy that's casting. So basically we start on Telu, because he's like the one that's casting, and we can do melee interrupts there. Then we want to focus down Telu. Once one of these guys dies, the fight becomes way easier. So we're focusing down Telu, and then I'm only bringing Dulu over here for like a couple melee interrupts to cleave, and then we bring it back. Other than that, just have a cooldown, rotate through for every single charge. Hopefully you're not bleeding out to melees, which can happen on this boss, but shouldn't happen. All right, so that's this boss. Once there's two of them, it just becomes omega easy. Just, just kick, pop something for charge, and walk out. That's it. Okay, so after this boss, we do a bit of a unique pull here. I'm going to pull these Berserkers and Dread Petals up to the Frost caster. I find that to be a good mix of tank damage and interrupts. Like if you pull the Frost with the Arcane, then Frost with Arcane is also okay, but the Pyro can be in the way. This pull is going to hurt me quite a bit because I'll be tanking these assistants. Their Fungal Fist hurts like crazy, and then I'll also have the Dread Petal debuff at the same time. So that is going to hurt. I'm going to make sure I have a cooldown running. But I do like this pull. It lets you get some count off the map basically while not wasting too much time. On Tyrannical, I don't think this pull is that good because you can just pull like 3 casters into 3 casters on Tyrannical. But on Fort, I don't think that's realistic, so I like doing this pull. Okay, so we do Zerkers, then we do the Arcane guy with the rest of the Berserkers. That first pull was a cooldown pull, but like we had cooldowns, so this is going to be no cooldowns, which is why we're going kind of slow. Consecrate Slow is actually pretty good in this dungeon. Also, while we're just fighting an Arcanomancer, I'm going to be pulling a bunch of assistants to get them off the map. Well, I was planning to do that, and then I was like, wait, 2-minute cooldowns are up, we're just going. Once cooldowns are up, you want to be fighting... If you have cooldowns and you're near this triple caster pack, you want to be fighting it. Fighting that pack without cooldowns is going to be very hard for your healer. Also, you'll note that we walked around one of the Pyromancers. I think fighting both Pyromancers on Fortified is a mistake. We only fight one with our route. You can just walk around the other one. So the way interrupts are set up here is I'm doing Pyro and Ice. DH and Major on Arcane, and Priest is my backup. Obviously, I can't do this forever because I'm relying on Toll Resonance plus the Priest. But, we have cooldowns, so the pack should die pretty quick. We start off with my shield on the Pyro into Interrupt the Frost. Next time something casts, I have Toll. Then basically just you save your focus kick, try to prioritize using Resonance or your Avenger's shields for interrupts, and then use your Rebuke as your first backup. When I run out, then I call the Priest. Our Priest also just likes to kick randomly, so his kick's on cooldown now, but that is okay. Yeah, so he wasted his kick there, which made this Frost kick go off, which, alright, DH health potted, but it's okay, we live and we learn. Once the Pyro's dead, this pull basically is very easy. You can solo a caster, you just Avenger's Shield, then when the cast next, then you use Rebuke, then Shield, then Rebuke, blah, 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 you just rotate. So since there's no pressure, like the group's not taking any damage either because the Pyro's dead, we usually pull trash with it. This trash does kind of hurt me, so I'm like slow rolling it a bit just to make sure I don't die. I think my healer requested a full drink, so we finish everything, he full drinks. And then we have 2-minute cooldowns back. We pull these assistants with the boss for funnel. We also have Lust. This can be kind of scary. Like you'll notice right now I don't even have Sentinel up, so I think I'm going to pop Bubble on pull. Very likely to pop Bubble on pull. Okay, yeah, this is Bubble on pull. Also, you want to be using your sack. This boss is basically on a 1-minute cycle. She does like Fire plus Arcane. This is his first one, so there's no Arcane, but she does Fire plus Arcane into Fire plus Ice into Ice plus Arcane. You want to be sacking either Fire Ice or Fire Arcane. This Fire is like very deadly for your group. You want to be using sack on it. The way we have it set up, I just sack the DH every other. He blurs every other. I sack every other. If someone is in danger, then I sack that person and he nethers that one. And we also have Spell Word. Generally, I kind of need to Spell Word myself quite often on this boss, so it's not really available. But if you don't need to, then it can be for your allies. I don't have cheat. I'd actually cheated like on pull here, so I probably will be wanting to Spell Word myself. For this boss also, it's 2 bolts per phase. Every bolt has the chance to potential to one-shot you if you have no cooldown running. So right now, we bubbled on pull, and then we had Tear, and now we're in Sentinel. When you're bubbling, by the way, if your bubble needs to hit at least 1 bolt, your Spell Word can hit 2 bolts if you Spell Word yourself. So now we have no cooldown. I think I should spell word here, actually. I would be surprised if I didn't spell word here. Maybe. Oh, no, I have Ardent. Never mind. I have Ardent. We're fine. I think I might have chanced the one shot on the next one. Oh, I know. I actually spell worded. Okay. Ideally, that's actually a mistake I did then. I should have spell worded the first bolt because spell word can hit 2 bolts. Using spell word to only hit 1 bolt is a mistake. This one's not too bad because the spell word also hits a fire thing, but it's way better to hit 2 bolts with the spell word. Here I'm actually out of cooldowns. I think this is a result of pulling with Sentinel off cooldown, like on, or Sentinel on cooldown, sorry. Having to bubble like on pull, and not having Sentinel up on pull, basically. But it is what it is. We just pray here. We have big consecrate, and we also make sure we're top before the bolt hits. If I didn't block, that would have been very close to one shot, but I guess I live with big consecrate if I'm topped. We actually are taking another bolt here with just big consecrate, I think. Yeah. This is actually could have killed me. But I guess I got lucky and I blocked both. If I didn't have, I think this wasn't actually doing half my health with the block, so I think I would have barely survived with big consecrate only. So that was lucky. Generally, you just want to make sure you have Sentinel on pull of this boss. Otherwise, this can happen to you, and you might not get lucky like me and die. Other than that, it's 2 bolts a phase. Make sure you have a cooldown running. Sack every other. And that's it. Generally, you want to rotate through your short cooldowns first. Like you want to prioritize Wings and Tier, then Ardent, then Goak, and then Bubbles last priority. All right, so that's that boss. Yalnu is pretty easy for the tank. He doesn't really hurt you. I mean, obviously, don't just not use your cooldowns. Just still roll them as much as you can. But if you don't have one up, it's not a big deal. You do want to have something running during this Flourishing Ancient. Also, one thing you can do for this Ancient, which I didn't do here, you can sack. As soon as the Ancient spawns, you can sack, and that sack will last until the Colossal Blow. Everyone knows this boss is only dangerous when the Ancient is alive and the boss is doing Colossal Blow. So you can sack as soon as the Ancient spawns, and then on the next Ancient spawn, your sack will come up right before the blow lands. So you can actually sack 2 in a row. You just have to take a break in between. So you can do 2 on, 1 off for sack. Also, when this ad is out, you almost always want to be focusing the ad. Even if the boss is 10%, still hit the ad. The boss takes extra damage while this ad is dead. So basically, it's literally faster to hit the ad if the boss has more than 3% health, I think is the number that we go off of. So yeah, this boss is pretty simple. Just rotate a cooldown, stomp some flowers. Ideally, you want to have your cooldowns running while the ad is alive, and obviously use your sack. If you don't use 2 out of 3, at least use every other. But that's it. Then you spell word basically when you think your healer's in danger. If you're in comms, you can just ask, when do you want spell word? If you're not in comms, just pay attention, I guess, to their health, and if they're about to die, you can spell word. If you're like me, you can also track healer cooldowns, and when they don't have one, you can also spell word them, but not expecting most people to do that. All right, so that's it. This boss is pretty simple. Ideally, go into this boss with Lust and cooldowns, by the way. This boss took us 630 on Fortified, which I think is a ridiculously long amount of time for a fort. That's a Tyrant kill time. But I think it's mostly a product of going in without Lust and cooldown. So yeah, make sure you have that going into this boss. And that does it for the Everbloom. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any questions, be sure to catch me on Twitch. You can just ask in chat. And that's all. Thanks everyone for watching.